When you hear people say that Dubai has no soul,
Bye, I'll take you to the airport and please feel free to go.
have you always thought, I'm going to be in Dubai for the rest of my life?
There was some kind of love for Dubai that I lost, and I left. I left thinking, that's it, I'm not going to live there anymore, I need to get far away, and I moved to New York for a year, and I tried to get a visa to stay, and I didn't get one, and that was 21 years ago. And I am so glad I never got that visa to stay in the States.
What does Dubai mean to you now?
It's given me everything, Dubai. It is my everything. I had imposter syndrome, where I was like, what am I doing on the show? I had no business being a breakfast show presenter.
One thing you wish everyone moving to Dubai knew.
Dubai is a magical, beautiful place. And it's not just about the shiny glitz and glamour. It's not about showing off how much money you have or feeling intimidated because some people are more successful than you are. But it's the kind of place where your dreams come true if you just are brave enough to lean into it.
Today I'm joined by someone I've known for years and someone who understands Dubai in a way only a true Dubai kid can. Nathalie Shariat grew up here, watched the city transform around her, and went on to become one of the most recognisable voices in Dubai as one half of Jono and Nats on Dubai 92. This episode is about the real Dubai, the one she remembers, the one she loves, and the one she's still growing with today. Let's get into it. Nathalie Shariat, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's amazing to see you.
Yes, I mean, this is what it took for us to hang out. I'm happy to be doing it.
Thank you. We'll get right into the questions straight away.
Okay.
So, who is Nathalie Shariat?
I mean, that is an existential question if ever I heard one. I'm someone's daughter, I'm someone's auntie, and I am someone who lives and breathes Dubai. I'm not from here, but I am very much from here, if you know what I mean by that. I'm half Italian, I'm half Iranian, but I'm 100% Dubaian.
And how many passports do you have?
One.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. It's
Why do I think you had two?
I don't know.
Maybe because of so many languages you speak.
A few.
Come on, tell me how many languages you speak.
3.5.
Which is the half Iranian?
Yeah, Farsi is my half, and that's even me being generous. It's not even a half, I would say. I can.
English is one of them, isn't it?
Yeah, English. That's the second language that I was born into this world with. Italian was my first language, then English and French.
How long have you been in Dubai?
Since I was a kid. I've been
Okay.
here since I was 7 years old. So my parents had the genius idea of moving here when I was a kid from Italy, and I'm forever grateful that they did.
Where did you live when you first came here?
We lived in the residential apartments in the Galleria. It was called the Galadari Galleria. It's part of the Old Height Regency in Deira. And so you've got the hotel on one side, and then you've got the Galleria on the right. I don't know if it's still called
Is that the one with the ice rink?
Yeah, with an ice rink downstairs. So imagine moving from Rome, all right, to having an ice rink and basically essentially a tiny mall downstairs that had a choy trums, a burger joint, an arcade, and they were furnished apartments. And I think at the time, a lot of people that moved to Dubai ended up either there or in the Intercontinental in Deira. And it was amazing because I could just say to my parents, hey, I'm going downstairs. And that meant anywhere. It meant either the pool at the Hyatt Regency or the pool upstairs in the Galleria. And they would just have to call downstairs to reception and say, can you please tell Nathalie to come home? She's late for dinner. And it was just a wonderful place to grow up. We spent 9 years there.
Where did you go to school in?
I went to DES when I first moved here, Dubai English Speaking School in Oud Mehta. And then I went to Dubai College.
From that time, what does Dubai mean to you now compared to when you were here as a kid? What's changed?
I think when I moved here as a kid, it was just this completely otherworldly place. I mean, you know, you're in the middle of the desert. It was such a small place. Everybody knew each other. And I had an ice skating rink downstairs. So imagine trying to tell that to your old childhood friends back in Italy. Like, if I want to go ice skating, it's downstairs, right? So it was this wonderful adventure that I was on with my family, but it was my home. And now Dubai is the only place that I really see myself being in for the rest of my life. If somebody says to you, I'm homesick, they might mean for wherever it is that they're from. But when I say I'm homesick, it's for here. It's not for Italy. It's definitely not for Iran, but it's 100% for here. So I guess Dubai is just a humongous part of me. That's the difference. when I was a kid, it was where my parents moved me to. So home is where my parents were. And now it's just every bit of me and 100% my home.
Have you always thought I'm going to be in Dubai for the rest of my life?
No, I'd say that shortly after university, there was some trials and tribulations in my life, and I moved back here. I lost my mom shortly after that, and I think there was some kind of love for Dubai that I lost just because up until that point I knew it as the place where my parents were. So it hadn't really cemented itself in my heart the way that it has now. And I left. I left thinking, that's it. I'm not going to live there anymore. I need to get far away. And I moved to New York for a year and I tried to get a visa to stay. And I didn't get one. And I came back, tail in between my legs, broke, and moved back in with my dad thinking, I'm just going to get a job temporarily. I'm going to earn some money. I'm going to leave. And that was 21 years ago. And I am so glad I never got that visa to stay in the States because I got to stay here. I got to meet you and have the luxury and joy of watching my brother's kids grow up and being around my father for the past 20 years. And really then realizing that I was right here all along. Like I took off to New York to look for myself and realized that actually where I was here all that time.
As you know, I left for a while as well.
Yeah.
Had to get it out of my system. Yes, it was an interesting time in my life. I remember talking to you about it at the time. Yeah, and even coming back and visiting and thinking, yeah, you knew I would be coming back. You already knew.
I mean, when you left, I needed you to take that journey for yourself because I'd already done it, right? And I've watched so many people do it over the years where they're like, I'm done. I'm going back home to wherever that idea of home is for them. And then they spend the subsequent years trying to come back.
Yeah.
For you, and I was really pleased, it took you less time than anybody else I know. You left, and within 6 months, you're like, I've made a horrible mistake. I need to come back.
I think after a few weeks, I thought I'd made a horrible mistake. Yeah. But everybody in England was saying, no, you've got to stick at it. It's going to be fine. Just give it a year.
Yeah. You just didn't admit it to me for 6 months, I think, because I kept telling you, what are you doing? Why are we going back? You're going to be cold. It's no place for you. But you needed to figure that out for yourself.
True that. What was Dubai like when you were younger?
It was simpler and quite magical in the sense that everybody knew each other. And there's pros and cons to that. The pros are that wherever you go, you know someone. And it felt like a little village. The cons are wherever you go, you know someone. So you have to be well behaved because, they would say if you do something in the wrong direction, everybody's going to hear about it. So, you really had to be your best self when you were out and about. And I really like that at the time when I was old enough to be able to go, say, to a nightclub. There was only one or two out here at the time. And you didn't have to call anybody up to say, hey, do you want to meet at such and such place? You just went out to the lodge mostly. And you knew that you were going to have friends there, even though you hadn't made any plans to meet up with them. And there's something that I really miss in that regard. And then it was so small that everybody was member of one or two beach clubs or a country club. So you had friends that you made in school, you had family friends, and then you had friends that you made at the beach club because everybody ended up in the same place. So it was just simple, no traffic, cheap. You haggled over everything, including taxis. Like I was fascinated by the fact that I could say, oh, I want to go to Satwa from my house. And they'd say it's 20 dirhams. And I'd be like, of course it's not 20 dirhams. So the maximum I'm going to give you is 10 dirhams. And they'd be like, okay. And then I could get there for 10 dirhams. Now they just I get into the cab and it's 12 dirhams minimum starting price, It's different.
Yeah. I do notice that about you when we have been out. You do try and negotiate with people.
Yeah, I think it's...
And then you give them a massive tip.
Yeah.
It's like counterintuitive.
Well, I'm giving them a tip, not the establishment.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if they've done a good job, then I'd rather it went to them,
Yes.
right? As opposed to whatever fixed price, the taxi company was trying to get out of me or whatever. But they were haggling me too. So
What
best
way?
price, say from Jumeirah to Satwa, it really shouldn't have been more than 10 dirhams.
Yeah.
But the taxi driver would try his luck and be like, it's 25. Because he's thinking, if she's a tourist, she doesn't know. She doesn't know that it's not 25. And then he could get the extra 15. But I did know because I grew up here.
Right.
So I'd be like, I'm not going to give you 25. I'm going to give you 10. But then if he agreed, chances are when I arrived at my destination, he'd get 15. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So we're both winning.
So just out of interest, you were living in Jumeirah. Why would you go to Satwa?
Because my favorite restaurant in the world that you've been to with me is in Satwa. It's Ravi's. It's an institution, and it's my happy place. And it's also the first restaurant that I ever went to as a kid without my parents, with my friends. We got 10 dirhams a week pocket money, but I could go to Ravi's and eat like royalty with my 10 dirhams. And the 10 dirhams constituted the 3 dirhams that it took me to get to Satwa, because I'd split it with my friends who lived down the road. And then I'd spend about 4 dirhams at Ravi's for a tandoori chicken and a dal and a piece of naan, and then 3 dirhams to get home. So that 10 dirhams was like, I felt super rich.
Was that the place that you went to the lodge and then afterwards, let's not go home, let's go to Ravi's?
No, Ravi's was probably where we would really rookie moves go to before going out.
Oof.
Okay. And you only learn that the hard way. Yes. It's not a smart way to do things. However, after the lodge, we would go to Al Reef, which is another OG place here in Dubai. But we'd go to the one on Zabil Road. And sometimes we'd be so poor that we could not afford the taxi from the lodge to Al Reef. So we'd walk. And then we'd get there. It's open 24 hours a day.
Is Al Reef still there in Zabil?
I think the one in Zabil is still there. Then the one in Safa Park was there. Then it closed and changed its name to like OPS Bakery. I think so many people were up in arms about that then we realized that the staff at OPS Bakery are still the Al Reef staff. And then they called it Al Reef again. And now I think it's called Al Reef OPS Bakery because, they like to keep us on our toes with regards to...
Is it in the same place?
Yes, the same place.
Do you still park outside?
You can still park outside. It's still open 24/7, and the staff are still the same. So is the guy making the most amazing heavenly manaish in the back, and that pleases me because there's just some things that Dubai has to hold on to so that it hasn't changed that much.
What does Dubai mean to you now in comparison maybe to when you were a kid?
Dubai has been this safe haven that has given me the opportunity to meet some of the dearest souls of my life. But it's also somewhere where I've been fortunate enough to fulfill my dream job that I didn't even know I wanted when I was growing up. And I think had I been anywhere else in the world, I would have never been given the opportunity to do what I do because I hadn't studied it. I didn't have the experience. I'd probably still be working some graveyard shift at best at a radio station in another country. But here, time after time, with whatever job I decided to embark on, I was given opportunities that elsewhere you wouldn't get. And I think it's given me everything. Dubai. It is my everything. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of how it has changed, how it has evolved in a way that there used to be a time where if I wanted something cultural to be fulfilled within me, like I wanted to go watch an epic band in a show, I would get on a plane, catch a red eye, fly to the UK or somewhere, watch this band and come back. And now we're in a fortunate position where there's so many gigs on at the same night that you don't know which one to go to, which is a really big city problem to have. And it's incredible.
When you hear people say that Dubai has no soul, what do you say to that?
Bye. I'll take you to the airport and please feel free to go. No, I say then you haven't really opened your eyes and you really haven't experienced Dubai. Because a lot of people come here and they look at the glitz and glamour, and that is the reputation that it has for anybody who hasn't taken the time to really see it for what it is. But there's so much soul and so much heart in our beautiful city. You just need to know where to go and see it. In fact, it's everywhere. It's even in the glitz and the glam. But my old boss lived out here, I think, for either 3 years or 5 years. And when he left, he told me he'd never been to Ravi's. He'd never been to Satwa. He didn't even know what Deira was. He'd never seen the creek. And his whole perception of Dubai was brunches and 5-star hotels. And I thought, well, how sad for you that you're going back to wherever it is you're from and you never got to see the heart and soul of this city.
They're missing out, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. And, there's some beautiful people out here that do walking tours or food tours to show people, not just tourists, but people who live here and don't know where the beating nook of this city really is.
Shout out to Frying Pan Adventures.
Frying Pan Adventures, Wandering with Nada, and so many more that are taking the time to go, hey, there's so much more to Dubai and the UAE than meets the eye.
True.
I mean, you say, what does it mean to me? I went back to the UK this summer after not having been there for a few years. And I had to walk around clutching my handbag and holding my phone in my pocket because I'd been told chances are you're going to get mugged. Chances are they're going to steal your phone, right? And I spent 3 weeks there this summer. And when I came back to Dubai, because I'd been so like, in fight or flight for 3 weeks, the first day I was here, it was like rigor mortis had taken over my body. I'm walking around all clenched. And then I'm like, what are you doing? Just loosen your shoulders, let go of your grip, and just breathe because you're here and you don't have to be like that here. How many times do I get up in the morning, go to my car at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work, and I realize I haven't locked it. And everything that was in there the night before is still there, and my car is still there. They haven't taken the obvious 10 dirhams or 100 dirhams that was in, my cup holder. They had nothing. And you can't put a price on that.
Yeah, I remember going back when I went back to the UK. I came back here, and I think you and I and some other people went out for dinner, and it was in my car.
Yeah.
And one of the people had their laptop, and they left it on my passenger seat. And we went to dinner, and I came back, and I went, "Who the hell did that? How stupid!" And then, of course, you realise you're in Dubai. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Isn't that mad?
No, I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
I had a friend the other day who lives here, and we went to dinner, and she said, "Can I leave my bag in your car?" And I went, "Yeah, it's going to be safe." And she's like, "Oh, yeah." I'm like, "Where have you been that I had to remind you of that? Nobody's going to break my window to get your bag." And that's just such a nice feeling to know that you're safe.
Were you one of those people that left your car running?
No.
No.
I think I might have done it once and just run into my house to grab something. And I did have do a double take where I'm like, really? Are you just going to leave your handbag and your phone and everything in the car and run in to get this one thing? And then it was like, yeah. And I did. And of course, nothing was changed. It was fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't really recommend pushing your luck that much. I would love to play a trick on somebody who did that and just move their car around the corner and then just film them, to see the reaction when they came outside.
Yeah. Let's get to work now. So here you are. How many years on the radio have you been now?
This time around, 21.
What do you mean this time around?
I was on the radio for 2 years, shortly after I moved back here, and before moving to New York and trying to find myself, before realizing that actually what I was looking for was right here. And then I came back and joined my current radio station, which is the station that I grew up listening to, Dubai 92. And yeah, I've been on there for 21 years.
Was it always called Dubai 92?
It was called Dubai FM and Dubai FM 92, and then FM 92 for a while, and now it's Dubai 92. But yeah, it was the only English radio station when I was growing up. And I grew up listening to that station, and then I've been lucky enough to grow up working on that station, and it means everything to me. You know how you might be the supporter of Liverpool or Tottenham Hotspur, and it's your team, and it's your team from when you were a kid, and probably your team for life. Dubai 92 is that for me. Even if one day I'm not working there anymore, it's my team for life. It's my station forever.
Can you imagine leaving?
No.
Oh.
I mean, one day I'm sure I will. I'll go be nomadic and see some of the world, I think, but it's not anywhere near my field of vision right now.
I did a podcast with someone from my office.
Yeah.
And he was asking me, why don't you just stop doing what you're doing? And it's like, well, what am I going to do? I can travel more, obviously. I can take some time off, but what am I going to do? And this is what I enjoy doing.
You love it, right?
Yeah, I love it. Exactly.
And me too. I don't think of it as work. I think of it as just something that I'm so grateful I get to do every single day. And I still pinch myself the same way I did when they gave me my first radio show on it, where I was like, what? The station I grew up listening to is going to hire me and pay me to talk for a living? What is this craziness? And I get to play music for people? That's amazing. And the fact that they still let me do it, it's not something I take for granted ever. But I'd be so bored if I stopped doing it.
It came from a love of music, though, didn't it?
It did come from a
You got the largest cassette collection in the world, haven't you?
I have a fairly decent cassette collection. I have an epic CD collection and an equally epic vinyl record collection. And from when I was growing up here, you could buy a full album for 5 dirhams. They were called Thompson Originals. And we had a tape shop in the old Galleria. So my parents knew that if I wasn't ice skating, I was in the tape shop spending my pocket money. So you got 10 dirhams a week. That meant 2 tapes a week. And I would go there and I would look at the covers and something would speak to me. I'd go home and I would listen to that cassette inside.
It's a bootleg.
Well, yeah, at the time you didn't get the lyrics and you didn't get all the album artwork. You just got a picture of the album artwork, and that's what you could buy over here. And I'm glad, because I wouldn't probably have been able to buy as many cassettes if I lived elsewhere for my 10 dirhams a week. But I just used to live and breathe music, and I never knew that it was going to lead to a job doing something with music. I just poured myself into it because I love music. And to this day, it's my medicine. It's my happy place. That and the sea. If I go to the beach or I'm in my car listening to music, no matter what's going on in my world, within a few minutes of doing either of those things, I'm okay.
What's the best thing about being on air every morning? Because you're on the morning show. And how long have you been doing the morning show now for?
5.5 years.
Can you imagine?
No.
Can you imagine?
Isn't that crazy?
I remember talking to you like 15, 20 years ago, and you say, I'd never do the mornings.
Because when I first joined radio, I joined it because I'm a muso and I love music. And I had a really eclectic morning show where I was lucky enough to get to play what I wanted, which meant if you loved music and you wanted to hear something that wasn't mainstream, then you tuned into my show. And I never thought that I had what it took to be a breakfast show presenter, because it's a different kind of radio. It's not about, it's not about being a music geek. There's elements of it that can still come through, but it's about waking people up and being sprightly and bright and starting people's days with a bit of a pep in their step, right? And first of all, up until doing the breakfast show, I didn't consider myself a morning person. In fact, I thought I was the antithesis of that. And overnight, they said, you're moving to breakfast from Drive. Drive is 4 to 8 p.m. And they said, tomorrow morning, you're going to be on the breakfast show. And I thought, well, how am I going to do that? I'm going to be salty. I'm going to be grumpy. I was the kind of person that you couldn't talk to if I hadn't had 2 cups of coffee. Now I do the breakfast show. I don't even drink coffee. Who even am I anymore? You know what I mean? And for the first 6 months, I felt like I was perpetually jet lagged. And I had imposter syndrome, where I was like, what am I doing on the show? I have no business being a breakfast show presenter. And the audience are everything. Especially the audience that are up early with you in the morning and taking their kids to school or going to work. And they were so loving and welcoming to us that I found a new kind of love for radio. And, over the years, I stopped being allowed to play everything that I wanted. So I had to decide, am I in radio because I just want to have my own playlist party? Or am I in radio because I love what it does and I love it as a form of communication? And what I found is that I love it, irrespective of whether I ever get to choose another song to play for you again. And then what I realized was that I love the breakfast show more than I have loved any other show that I have done. And at this point, in 21 years at Dubai 92, I've done every single show time slot on that station. And they would have to drag me off the breakfast show kicking and screaming. That's how much I love it.
Can you think of a moment that actually thought, okay, I've got it now? You said there was like 6 months where you had
6 months where I didn't know my name, because I think my body was just having an issue. I still didn't know how to go to bed at a disciplined hour and understand that at 4:30 in the morning, my alarm was going to go off and there was no snooze. I had to get up and I had to go to work, and you can't show up and turn on the mic and be grumpy or be sleepy. Nobody wants to listen to that. Nobody wants to, hear your bad mood. You've got to leave that at the door. So it taught me a lot about myself. But I think once I adjusted to the timings, I actually realized, oh, wait, when I finish work, unless we have meetings or interviews, which these days we have so many of, and I'm grateful for it, you have the whole day ahead of you to do stuff for you, be it go to the beach, read a book, take a nap if you need to, so I wouldn't trade that anymore. I wouldn't trade that for leaving work at 8 o'clock at night. Whereas before I thought, that's great. I can stay up till 3 in the morning. Well, who wants to do that? I'd rather wake up at 4:30. Whenever I drive to work at like 5:15 in the morning, I look around on Sheikh Zayed Road and see all these other cars. And I think to myself, where are you going? What are you up to? I know why I'm up at this hour and why I'm like listening to music and just loving life and easing myself into my day. I don't know if they're part of the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah, go to bed early.
Go to bed early, seize the day, carpe diem, and make something wonderful with it.
I'll tell you what it is. See, I know you, right? And you're my friend. So I've known you for many years, but I also know other names on the radio, like Brandy Scott and Chris Fade. I know these people. These guys are famous in Dubai. Are you one of those people? Do you think that people out there know Nathalie and know that you're Nats.
I'm Nats on the radio, yeah.
Do you think people know you as Nathalie Shariat? No, you're just Nats.
I'm just Nat. That's who I am on the radio, you know what I mean? And what's interesting is how it spills into my personal life, because I have a niece and 2 nephews who call me Nats. And it's fascinating to me because I'm Nathalie or Nat to them usually. But, you know, as of late, it's, Nats, come here, blah, blah, blah. So I know that it's kind of like spilt into other aspects of my life. But no, I'm not on the level of Chris Fade, and nor do I even, aspire to be. He has worked so hard to achieve what he's achieved, and he's on another level, another playing field entirely. And Brandy Scott is Brandy Scott, and I think for me, I've always been Nats on the radio for 21 years, the one who loves music, the one who speaks an oral love letter to Dubai, and who, if I can make you smile when you listen to the show, or I can make you fall in love with a song, or give you the inspiration to go and check out a little pocket of Dubai or a restaurant in Dubai, then I feel like I've done my job and I've done it well. And that's what I aspire to be, your friend on the radio.
So you do a show with a guy called Jono.
Yeah.
And I don't really know Jono very well.
Yeah.
But I would imagine that if you didn't mention him right now, he might get upset.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So should we mention him, or should we just not mention him? So what's it like working with this guy you've been together now for
almost 9 years.
More than 5, because you did Drive Time together.
Yeah, we did Drive Time together, and then we both got moved to the breakfast show together. So in March, it'll be 9 years that we've been on the radio together. It's a marriage of sorts, if you will, like my work husband and his work wife. And with that, especially when you're doing a show at such an intimate time in the morning, you get into the studio for about 5:20, 5:30 in the morning. You have to be a certain level of friends to be able to put up with each other that early in the morning before you've mentally really started your day. And I think at first we really struggled with that, because it's like, I haven't had coffee. You're at me with 20 questions before the mic has even gone on. So it takes a level of trust to be able to do that with each other. And prior to being on air with Jono, I'd never been anybody's co-host other than guests talking on other people's shows. I didn't know what that meant, to be on air with somebody else. So I've learned a lot about myself, about yielding, try not to talk all over each other on the radio and that kind of stuff. But I'd say we balance each other out,
Which one's got more energy?
Which one of us has more energy? Mm-hmm. We both have, I'd say, similar level of energy. He drinks coffee, so he's like at a 10 most of the time. Whereas I will eventually either have a karak chai or, have something that has sugar in it and then match him energetically. But he is super funny. And he's a bit of a live wire. I never know what's going to come out of his mouth next. So he kind of keeps me on the edge of my seat a lot, and in some ways that I think have aged me massively, because I'm like, oh my God, I still have my job at the end of this show. But he's a lot of fun to be on air with. And I think we've really lucked out with each other, because you can't just naturally assume that 2 people, you put them on air together, that they're going to have natural chemistry with each other and that they're just going to gel. But somehow Jono and I just did. And it's something that happened by accident. His show finished and mine started. And we would have this 5-minute crossover where he would just check in on me and I'd start my show. And people started saying that 5-minute handover between us was their favorite 5 minutes of the day. And so the bosses got together and were like, well, stick them on Drive together. And I was very nervous. And I thought, well, I don't think I can be a Drive Time presenter. But then, there I was. And then so on and so forth with the breakfast thing. And it's, we just play off each other really well. It's a lot of fun. And it's nice to know that when you're on air and say, life throws you a lot of lemons and it throws you trials and tribulations, right? And you got to go in there and you got to smile and you got to pour yourself into this thing that you do. And sometimes it's really hard to do when you're on your own. But when you know that there's somebody else in the studio with you, it's a little bit easier because you have each other's backs. And we have Joey as well, who's our producer. And I can't give a shout out to Jono without giving a shout out to Joey, because even though he's younger than us, not by a lot, but even though he's younger than us, he's older than us in so many ways in terms of patience, in making sure that we behave, in making sure that we don't get fired, and that, we do what we're meant to do on the show. So the 3 of us, yeah, I'm really grateful for the 3 of us.
How long's the show?
4 hours.
Yeah, I should know that, shouldn't I?
Yeah, you should. It'd be nice if you listen from time to time, considering that, you're supposed to be one of my best friends.
It's just crazy that I don't. I'm sorry. I don't think I'm your target audience, really, am I? Yeah.
Well, our target audience has changed over the years, and you'd know if you tuned in.
Okay. Thank you. I've been told off. Let's talk about me. Well, let's not talk about me. Let's talk about communities and property.
But let's talk about you, because I have to say, it's been so lovely chatting to you, but it's very weird because usually I'm the one finding out about other people. And so to be on this side of the questions has been interesting.
Yeah. Who have you interviewed in the last 10 days? Give me a list of the people you've interviewed or worked with.
Franz Ferdinand, the band. Timbaland, the producer, interviewed him. Mo Farah as well. Teddy Swims ahead of his gig at the Coca-Cola Arena. That's all in the last few days. Suggs from Madness, which was, that was amazing. That was pretty epic.
Was he in Dubai?
Yeah, he just performed here Saturday night at the Media City Amphitheater. But it was the same night as Teddy.
Did he have any new songs?
No.
You don't know?
No, because I didn't go to the gig. I went to Teddy Swims' gig, and you have to make a choice. And that's what I meant earlier, where before you were lucky if you got one concert every 6 months, and now you're like, there's 3 on the same night. I don't know what to do. Do I go to Abu Dhabi, or do I go to Madness, or do I go to Teddy Swims? So yeah, just in the last few days, that's who we've interviewed, and it's just been mind-boggling.
I think Deep Purple was that.
Oh yeah, Ian Gillan from Deep Purple last week. I mean, that's about bucket list.
That's my era.
Yeah, but I was proper nervous when I did that, and so those are the pinch yourself moments where you're like, is this really me? Am I really doing this? This is what I do for a living. When you said, oh, what was the moment where you knew, oh, okay, I'm doing this? It's probably sitting across like this from somebody like Ian Gillan or Joanna Lumley or John Cleese. I was like, this man visually soundtracked my childhood, and he's sitting next to me in the studio, and I'm interviewing him. Mm-hmm. So you have those moments where you're like, okay, somebody, please don't ever wake me up from this beautiful dream.
Brilliant. Real estate.
Tell me.
I know I know this for a fact that you bought your first property in Dubai Marina.
Yes.
Yeah. You still have that?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, we sold it.
Okay.
Gave my dad the money back. I was like, thank you very much for giving me a roof for a little while, but here you go. Go buy yourself.
You like that home, didn't you?
I did, It was a really nice sanctuary. We called it the bunker, my friends and I, for about 10 years, because when I moved back to Dubai, I moved back in with my dad. And I was broke, and I got this job at Dubai 92, and then eventually he very politely got me to move out by giving me the keys to this property, because the house that I currently live in is the house I grew up in, and we don't own that. And we've been paying rent for it ever since I was a kid, and my dad was there. And so I moved into the Marina for 10 years, and I loved it because it was such a different adventure from living Dera or growing up in Jumeirah. It was a very pedestrian existence, and I had missed that. I'd missed being able to just walk around and do whatever you want without taking your car.
It was a real challenge for your friends, those to come visit you, because there was nowhere to park.
There was nowhere to park, and you're right. In that sense,
there still isn't.
There isn't. There isn't much in the way of street parking. If you're lucky, you're lucky, and if not, you drive around for a while. There were, occasionally I could get the security guard to let somebody into the guest parking. However, what was nice is I lived at the very end of the Marina, so the exit 29, which is near JLT, and if you're heading towards Abu Dhabi, which meant that you didn't really get stuck in that much traffic to get home or to come visit me. But what was amazing about it is that I had what used to be called the JLT metro stop. The name has changed so many times, I don't know what it's called now. But it was right in front of my apartment building, which meant that I could walk around the Marina if I wanted to and go eat places. I could walk over the bridge to JBR and go to the cinema or go to the beach. But then I could walk over the metro bridge to JLT. So it was like having 3 little, I say little, but massive areas where I could just go and walk and experience just being outside, especially in the winter months, which you couldn't really do before in Jumeirah, but you can now.
Yeah, true. If you were telling someone who was thinking about coming to live in Dubai, which community do you think would sum up Dubai?
For me, my favorite, Jumeirah.
Right.
If you can live in Jumeirah, live in Jumeirah. And I say that because once you get to Jumeirah, traffic's not bad. You've got everything at your doorstep. When the weather's lovely, you can walk everywhere.
By the way, everywhere. I don't sell property in Jumeirah because you can't buy property in Jumeirah.
I know. I hope that one day. No, you can buy property in Jumeirah. You can buy property right next to Sunset Mall, Stephen. There are these apartments right next to Sunset Mall, which I have friends that bought places there.
What are you talking about?
They're on the beach. There are these beautiful apartments that are right next to Sunset Mall, or maybe above Sunset Mall.
No, they're rental
area.
They're rentals.
No. I have a friend that bought one,
They're Emirati.
probably.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, okay. How about Port de la Mer? You can buy that.
Yeah, you can buy Port de la Mer.
So that's still Jumeirah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, maybe there'll be more areas that you can buy. But okay. In terms of buying,
Help me out here.
okay. I would say the greens. I really like the greens again because of the whole sort of pedestrian community aspect of it, and the location of it is really lovely. I would say the Palm as well. There's certain areas of the Palm that I really, really love. And what I like is that these areas that I'm mentioning are kind of like self-contained communities. Everything that you need is there. You need a mall, you need a cinema, you need shops and that kind of stuff, local restaurants and things. You've got them in those areas without too much fuss. And I don't know this particular area very well, but I'm drawn to it. Dubai Hills. I really like Dubai Hills very, very much. And it's got a really nice energy about it. But yeah, these are the places that I would.
So Dubai Hills is an interesting one because that is exactly what it is. It's a community.
Yeah.
It's a community built by a developer called Ema, who have learned from places like the Marina, Emirates Hills, Springs, Meadows, etc., lakes, you know, the Hattan. And they've learned, and then they've recreated everything they've learned into this amazing community called Dubai Hills Estate. And I'm sure they're going to build something else, which is even better in the future.
Yeah.
But they will always look after Dubai Hills Estate. It's got the business parks, which you've got. You talk about the greens. Yeah. There are similarities with the greens. Where we're sitting right now in Dubai Hills Business Park or whatever is just like the greens, isn't it? In a way, you've got those business park in the greens.
Yeah, and there's also DIP, right? The Green Community DIP. I have a friend who bought a house there, and it's spectacular. I mean, it looked like she was living in Malibu, and I thought, wow, you know.
You mean with the trees? And the vegetation.
Yeah, but also the size of the house. Because you go 20 minutes out and you think, oh, that's far. It really isn't, especially with the roads being, you know, upgraded at the speed that they're getting upgraded. It really isn't far out. And then you can afford to get something so much bigger than you could if you were, as per se, in the heart of the city. You know what I mean? So it depends. If you want an apartment, I'd say the Greens, maybe this area here, Dubai Hills. But if you want a house, beautiful properties in Arabian ranches, in Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid City, Meydan. Wow. Some really beautiful properties there as well.
Are you thinking about buying another property at all? No?
No, I would really like my current landlord to sell me the house I grew up in. I would just be so made up if I could live there forever. Because it's my home. It's the only home really that I've ever felt like I've had. Yes, I lived in the Marina. I loved it. It really served me well. And I lived at the Hyatt, you know, and that was home for a bit. But ever since I was a teenager, I lived in this particular house, which I'm now back living in. And I love the neighbors. I love the sense of community that I have in Jumeirah. And I wish I could own it if I could.
Do you have a good relationship with your landlord?
Yeah. Super, super lovely relationship. He's the nicest man. And yeah, I mean, he's always said, just think of it as your home. You can stay there for as long as you like.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I've got a landlord like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're amazing.
It's good. It's important to have a good landlord, I think.
It is.
Right? Because it just makes you feel like home even if you don't own it.
True.
And there's a lot of that here.
Oh, you're right. It's not all horrible landlord tenant relations. I agree. So all your life, or most of your life, since you were a kid, as you say, Dubai, if it disappeared tomorrow, what would you build first? What would you rebuild first, do you think?
Oh, wow. What would I rebuild first in Dubai? Like which area? Yeah,
building or whatever. What would recreate Dubai for you immediately?
The Jumeirah Beach Road. Houses on the Jumeirah Beach Road. They've changed over the years. They used to be so unique and individual, and over the years, those got torn down, and then compounds got built and things like that. But the Jumeirah Beach Road, it has something to it that is like the veins to my heart. I don't know how to explain it better than that. But, you know, definitely along the creek and Old Dubai, Satwa, but a few buildings that I think would be an absolute shame if they didn't exist anymore. The Emirates Towers, which are two of my favorite buildings in the world, architecturally speaking. The Burj Al Arab, again, like I just love sitting on the beach and staring at this master of architecture. And the Museum of the Future is just breathtaking. But that's that's visual, that's aesthetics. But an area, the first thing I would do is, put Jumeirah back together again.
What about the Jumeirah Beach Club?
The Hilton Beach Club.
Is that what you called it? The Hilton Beach
It's
Club?
called the Hilton Beach Club.
Right.
And then it became the Jumeirah Beach Club. I'm still to this day so sad that it got torn down. Yes, the Four Seasons is there and it's wonderful, but it's not what the Hilton Beach Club used to be. The Hilton Beach Club was somewhere that you could just say, hey, Mom, I'm going to the beach club. And they knew you were going to be fine because the staff knew you. They watched us grow up. My friends would be there. I made new friends with kids that were there with their parents. And it was just it was a home away from home.
I remember you telling me about another beach club as well, that you, on a pier, there was a pier.
So yeah, it was called Chicago Beach Village. It was all bungalow villas, and I had friends that lived there, and the pier is still there. So they tore down CBV, that's what we used to call it, and they built the Madinat Jumeirah instead of it. But they thankfully kept the pier, and that's where you've got Pier Chic. And I think that's probably why those are the pockets that I'm drawn to when I said to you, I love looking at the Burj Al Arab. It's about that geographic location, whether that building was standing there or not. It's just something really magical about it. And there's few places in Dubai that are still like that. The bungalow villas, there's the Al Falaj villas, just off of Hester Street. Those villas remind me.
Those are still there.
Yeah, but they're amazing. They're amazing properties. And the rent for those places are incredible. And the community, like those little communities, are what I love about Dubai.
So some quick fire questions for Nathalie Shariat.
Okay, go.
Favorite Dubai comfort spot?
The beach and Ravi's.
Which beach?
The beach near the Four Seasons and the Mandarin.
Oh.
It's not that crowded, and the sea is Maldivian. It's turquoise and beautiful, and it's still as a lake when you go early morning. And it's my vitamin C. It's.
What was that beach? What did that used to be called?
It was just a free beach before the Mandarin, but I think it's the closest that I can get to the stretch of beach that used to be the Hilton Beach Club. And now, if I want to go to the beach at the Four Seasons, I have to stay there. I don't think you can, or maybe you can get a day pass now, but you couldn't at first. So the closest I can get to that body of water, to that stretch, is by going to the free beach next to the Mandarin. So that's my favorite spot.
Moment on the radio you'll never forget.
Me on the radio or listening to the radio?
Whatever.
I think a moment on the radio that I'll never forget, I was already working for Dubai 92 and I was working for the news team. And our best friend, Vix, was on the airwaves. And she was a muso, she was my idol, and she was hosting her morning show and playing some kind of rock track. And she quoted a lyric from John Bon Jovi. And my ears perked up and I heard her tell a story in 9 seconds or less. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do for a living. I want to be able to do what she did just then, because she made me fall in love with the track by telling me a story about it in 9 seconds. And she had the most epic voice in the world. And you and I lost her 17 years ago this week. And to this day, she is the very best radio presenter I've ever heard in my life. And I think that probably was the most poignant moment for me in radio, because I was in the booth opposite her about to do my news bulletin. And it just made me fall in love with this art form. And I think because of her, I've ended up doing what I do.
Yes. Special lady. One thing you wish everyone moving to Dubai knew?
Dubai is a magical, beautiful place. And it's not just about the shiny glitz and glamour. It's not about showing off how much money you have or feeling intimidated because some people are more successful than you are. But it's the kind of place where your dreams come true if you just are brave enough to lean into it.
What does Dubai do to people, do you think? Good and bad?
Good. You can bring up, say you've got children, you can bring up your kids in a multinational pot of personalities and nationalities and every walk of life, and your kids are going to meet people from everywhere. They're going to get exposed to so many different cultures and in a safe environment. And you have the opportunity to do so much and try so much that maybe elsewhere you wouldn't be able to afford to do. The bad is that you can get lost in all the shiny stuff, in the way of life, that is at your fingertips, and you can become complacent and lazy if you allow it to. I mean, come on. If I don't want to, I don't have to leave my house to get my car filled up with petrol. When I tell people from another country about that, they're like, what are you talking about? First of all, you don't get out of the car to fill up your own tank, but now you don't leave your house and somebody's going to come and fill up your car. So, you know, you can get so lost in the conveniences of this magical place because everything is so at our fingertips. And you have to steady yourself because you'll have a rude awakening when you go elsewhere, you know, where you're like, oh my goodness, what do you mean? I mean, I was driving in Europe and I sat there for a good 5 minutes before I realized nobody was coming to my car. And then I had to sit there and go, how do I do this thing in my rent-a-car and figure out how to pump my own gas? So, you know, you have to keep grounded and not spend more than you earn. It's easy to do that. It's easy to think, oh, it's okay, I'll get more. And inshallah, you will. But don't live beyond your means because you can get yourself in trouble. And then you can't blame Dubai for it. You just got to blame yourself.
Good advice. Do you have any questions for me, Nathalie?
If you were going to buy yourself a forever home in Dubai, because you advise people quite often, you know, where to live, what's a good investment, but taking into consideration all of those things, if you were like, okay, next 20 years, I want to get a place, call it mine, make it mine, exactly how I want it, in the perfect spot. Where are you picking and why?
It's really tough. I used to sell cars, and people used to say, what car would you buy?
Yeah.
I used to sell really nice cars, like Porsche and Rolls-Royce and Bentleys and things.
Yeah.
And I could never answer that question because it depends on what day of the week it is. But I think, to be honest, it's a great question, and I think I would probably want to buy in an area called Rashid Yachts and Marina. You would know it as Mina Rashid, the old ports.
Yeah.
And they've regenerated that. Emar, I've been there with P&O, who own the land, and have recreated a sort of Mediterranean style community, which hasn't been handed over yet.
Okay.
But it's a sort of place where you could live upstairs and come downstairs and have a nice coffee and a restaurant. You could walk around the marina, watching the boats leave, come and go. You could turn around and probably be in downtown in 15 or 20 minutes. The QE2 is there. Okay, the QE2 is there. Maybe I'll come and have a look at it, but at least you got a landmark. And then not very far away, literally within a cycle ride or maybe a long walk, you could...
Ravi's.
You could, no, exactly. Yeah. You could be in old Dubai.
Yeah.
You're 5 minutes from the Shindaga. I don't know, is the Shindaga tunnel still exist?
Yeah, and then you've got the infinity bridge that goes over.
And so you could be in Naif in no time and all those amazing restaurants, or you could be in Dubai in no time, like the places along the creek, etc. So I think it's for me, being in Dubai and being from London, it's kind of like a mix of the two. It's like, it would be like living on the River Thames.
Yeah.
In a sort of warehouse type area, which I would love to have done in London. And I think that's probably where it would be. It's called Rashid Yachts and Marina. Mina Rashid is what human knows. That's where I'd like to live.
You're gonna have
and I think I will eventually.
You're gonna have to take me for a recce. That's an area I haven't explored.
It's got so much potential. You know, it's got the longest swimming pool in the world.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, 500 meters long.
There's a little hidden gem in that area called Tent Emirati. It's a fantastic little restaurant where you get incredible hummus and fattoush, and it'll cost you near to nothing to eat there.
I don't know where that is. Where could that be?
It's near the QE2. It's in that little sort of redeveloped where there's the paddle courts area in Port Rashid.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, we'll go. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Nathalie Shariat.
Stephen.
It's been amazing.
It's been really nice to catch up with you.
Huge thanks to Nathalie for being so open and honest. Her journey from growing up in old Dubai to becoming one of the voices of today's Dubai is something you rarely get in one conversation. If you want more episodes with people who've shaped this city in their own way, be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching this podcast. See you next time.